Well, that's the thing about Iowa is that it's a state that people really only care about when the primary is happening. Post that, it's a flyover state. It's a state that's a farming state, and it doesn't get the respect that it deserves in any way. And so the question I would have for you, CJ, is obviously we are just under 2 years away from the Iowa primary and or caucus, depending on what they ultimately do. What would you recommend to a non-corporate candidate who's considering running, and what would ultimately be the difference this time? We know the tricks that they pulled in 16. We know the tricks that they pulled in 20. What do you think would be the key to making sure that in 24, that whoever that person would be to sort of carry the progressive torch, what do you think could be the difference in ultimately that coming to fruition, if you will?
Yeah, that's a great question. If you look at the Iowa caucus, generally speaking, the progressive generally wins. Starting with 2016, the party got a little bit smarter, and we had coin tosses to make Hillary Clinton the winner of the Iowa caucus.
Won 6 out of 6 coin tosses, CJ. I mean, that just totally normal.
A lot of luck there. So, I still get triggered anytime somebody says virtual tie, but the 2020 caucus same way. So my recommendation is just make sure that you're organizing in the rural spaces as well. As a more rural voter, I think that the main thing we need to do is engage people on issues. I mean, they don't care about personality. They don't care about, you can slap a pride sticker on your tank, but nobody wants to go to war either way. So it's just one of those things where, I think that we really need candidates to come and meet people where they are. We don't need you to pander to the racist white guy at the country store. Like, that's not the demographic that we need. Those folks are going to make the decision regardless of what messaging we have. And quite honestly, the Republicans, no matter who they are, no matter what race, top of the ticket to the bottom, they're going to call you a baby killing socialist commie no matter what you do. So you might as well just be yourself and be progressive, because that's where the future of the country is.
It's a very well stated point. Yeah. It is a state that has Iowa's a very interesting state because it has a very strong progressive streak, but it's also a state that produced Steve King. So knowing the juxtaposition that certain parts of the state has, what would you say was the big difference in terms of why Pete was able to do so well, and then ultimately what Bernie did and can ultimately capitalize on going forward? We've heard plenty of stories behind the scenes about how things were not run as well as they could have been, but from your perspective, why do you think Pete ultimately was able to garner that type of support? Was it just simply the establishment putting all their weight behind him type of situation? What do you see as being the case? And then ultimately, how we, get around that next time around?
I will say that, Pete Buttigieg had a fantastic strategy. He was in every small little town all the time. I mean, I think he came to I actually, there was a fun little detour that we took where Pete showed up at the back of my church, and he was there when I was preaching the sermon one morning, and I was, it was my turn to lead worship, and I just came out, and there's Pete Buttigieg sitting in the back row. And it's just one of those things where, he's just everywhere, man. And I think that's really important. And I think that's one of the reasons Pete resonated. I do think Pete resonated because he represented that, hey, we've checked another box and we get to feel good about ourselves. Now, I can say that I'm a gay man, and nobody else probably can say it, but I mean, to me, it's just Iowa Democrats do pride themselves on elevating folks. However, we do have a strange situation right now where we're not elevating and supporting our candidate for governor to the extent that we should be. Now, she just happens to be a Black woman, and all of a sudden the major donors aren't putting in any money. I just find it very interesting. Then Ross Smith, the other major candidate who was in the race, had to drop out because he couldn't raise any money, and he happened to be Black also. So I would say, the Iowa Democratic Party has some serious issues. It has some issues surrounding, it's very much a white liberal, neoliberal, upper middle class type scenario going on. So
we can relate. We're in Florida, so the head of our Democratic Party is actually a Republican. Well, so that's our life.
Well, if there is one person who we know pretty well that is running in your state that we think could, if she gets elected, could really do a lot of good and potentially build up momentum, is Kim Graham, who's running for Polk County attorney. Great lady, ran for the U.S. Senate, did pretty well, all things considered, when you think about how much money they threw into that race.
I like Kim.
Yep. And if she's able to get elected, I think that could be a huge turning point for progressives.
For sure. And I just want to say one note about Kimberly Graham. Kimberly was the first statewide candidate or official to, come and, stand with my campaign when I was running for state senate in 2020. And, it meant so much to have someone who was running a statewide race acknowledge that I was out here doing something. And, rather than only focusing on targeted races, she recognized the importance of progressive leadership. And I'm just so impressed and so grateful for her. And I'm really excited for the people of Polk County. I wish I could vote for her, but I don't live in Polk County, but she is fantastic.
It's pretty amazing what you can do in politics when you don't have any strings attached to you. You know what I'm saying?
That is correct. That is correct.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.